Undoubtedly, one of the characteristics of the human being is that he can adapt to the environment that surrounds him. Most of the time, he achieves this adaptation by designing, or better said, inventing objects that incidentally make life easier for him and society. Today, we will see who are the greatest inventors who changed the world and the history of mankind. Archimedes was undoubtedly one of the greatest names in engineering in the 3rd century. Although few details of his life are known, he is considered one of the leading scientists of classical antiquity. We owe Archimedes the invention of the pulley, the lever, the catapult, and so on, not to mention the Archimedes screw. And where would fluid mechanics be today without that initial eureka moment? As an inventor, Benjamin Franklin was one of the men who invented America, but the man now hailed as America's first scientist was also a printer, an activist, a statesman, a diplomat, and above all a respected inventor and engineer. His legacy includes the lightning rod, bifocal lenses, and according to some, the first experiments in nanoscience. Gutenberg, as a young man, soon demonstrated exceptional technical expertise and a strong entrepreneurial spirit. In 1437, he discovered a novel system for polishing precious stones, and a year later, he concluded a contract with Andreas Dresen, Hans Riffel and Andreas Hellman to manufacture mirrors for pilgrims. The mirrors were worn on hats, robes, or walking sticks, and were used to catch the glint of holy relics and images in the belief that their blessing was thus transmitted. But undoubtedly, the invention that revolutionized his life and history was a printing press, thanks to which books were no longer copied by hand. The printing press was a much more revolutionary invention that you can imagine, especially for the evolution of knowledge. Many mark it as a key event of the passage from the Middle Ages to the modern age. A curious fact is that Gutenberg tried to keep his work secret. In fact, he asked his partners not to show anyone the press, one of the keys to his system. Edison was the archetypal inventor and epitomizes the American spirit of research and entrepreneurship. A shrewd businessman with an unbridled imagination, he is credited with thousands of inventions, including the photograph, the electric light bulb, the telephone, although Alexander Graham Bell got to the patent office earlier that time, the video camera, the microphone, and alkaline batteries. Did you know that a company called Thomson was created to exploit some of Edison's patents? No, it's not what you're thinking. Nikola Tesla invented the world's coolest electric car, but Nikola Tesla was for many the greatest inventor who ever lived, always saving the things that were unbroken and coming up with amazing inventions in the process. We have him to thank for alternating current, the modern electric motor, remote control boats, and it is remote, radar and wireless communications technology. He got not credit for much of it in his lifetime and died alone in poverty. The Lumière brothers, another pair of French pioneers, invented the motion picture. They patented the cinematograph and their first film released in 1894. It's considered the first real film in history. What happened on the night of December 28, 1895, in the saloon on the Boulevard des Capucines in Paris is known in detail, yet there is not a single photograph of that exciting and historic moment. The brothers Auguste and Louis Lumière were too busy presenting before a room of people who had paid to see it, the innovative technique of the cinematograph. Some 33 people had attended. The small number was a bit of a disappointment to its inventors. It should not be forgotten that what they had advertised with posters all over Paris was a worldwide sensation. Nevertheless, in that hall, originally a billiard room, was a complete success. The public saw for the first time the moving images of the short film Exit from the Lumière factory. Although it may not have any relevance today, the fact is that the steam engine was a gem for us to have cars today and to drive. Thomas Savery patented the first machine in the year 1698 and since then laid the foundations for years later rapid combustion engines and thus the first cars on the planet. In 1903, the Wright brothers fulfilled one of the mankind's dreams, to fly. But beyond achieving a chimera, they succeeded in creating a faster form of transportation, capable of connecting distances that until then had been too far away. Since then, the aeronautical industry has developed rapidly. Its uses have expanded from transporting people and goods to other purposes, such as warfare. Today, the airplane is considered not to be only one of the most important technological inventions in history, but also the most influential creation in the field of mobility and transportation after the wheel. Alexander Graham Bell, Scottish-born inventor, scientist, philanthropist and teacher of the deaf, is the person most recognized as the inventor of the electric telephone. On March 7, 1876, he became the first to receive a patent for this device. Right now, in 2021, it is one of the accessories that everyone has. The revolution that the appearance of the telephone brought about in communication systems make it one of the most relevant inventions of all mankind. Martin Cooper may not be a famous name, but his invention is known to more than a half of the world's cell phone population. The concept of a handheld phone was in his brain as a child, and with the help of a Motorola team, the first cell phone handset was born in 1973. It weighed more than 2 kilograms. When standing on a New York street, he made his first phone call from a prototype cell phone. He could not have been able to conceive of the success his invention would achieve. The first commercial automated cellular network was launched in Japan by Nippon Telegraph and Telephone in 1979. In 1928, the British scientist Alexander Fleming discovered, almost by chance, the antibiotic effects of penicillin on a bacterial culture. From that moment on, Fleming had changed the history of medicine forever. For his discoveries, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 1945. Today, penicillin is a bit demonized because its excessive use and without the correct medical supervision has caused the appearance of superbacteria, which are immune to this or any other drug, and if they spread they can cause death. But at the time, the truth is that penicillin saved humanity, because before you could die from things that today are easily treatable with this drug, such as syphilis and staphylococcus. Television was invented by John Lodge Baird in 1923 in the city of Hastings, England, and the first television image was broadcast in 1926. The images, which were initially dotted and flickering, were developed by Baird. In the early 1930s, television began to be sold as electronic products and began to attract a wide audience. Few inventions have the acceptance and are as much as part of our lives as television. The revolution brought about by the arrival of television in homes around the world is unlike almost any other invention on the planet. Vaccination is among the inventions that changed the world because it gave rise to the so-called preventive medicine. Throughout the years, it has saved countless lives, and to give some idea of the importance of the first vaccines, remember what it meant to get sick from COVID before vaccines. For the American Academy of Pediatrics, the era of vaccines began with the physician Edward Jenner. The Briton observed that people who made cows and contracted cowpox were protected against human smallpox. In 1796, he inoculated an 8-year-old boy with fluid from bovine smallpox pustules, and when he subsequently injected him with the human smallpox virus, the child neither became infected nor showed any symptoms. Already in the 19th century, the French physician Louis Pasteur developed the second generation of vaccines, among others against cholera or rabies, and introduced the term vaccine in honor of Jenner's cowpox experiments. Sir Timothy Berners-Lee is known as the man who invented the internet, the greatest breakthrough of the late 20th century, but it's a bit more complicated than that. The internet began its life at the Pentagon as a distributed computer network designed to withstand nuclear attack. That system was known as ARPANET, and its origins date back to 1969. Sir Tim studied the Pentagon development and added the concept of hypertext as a way for researchers at CERN, where he worked to share resources more efficiently. He and his team went on to develop HTML, web servers and browsers, making the World Wide Web a reality in 1989 and opening it to the public in 1991. Steve Jobs was born on February 24, 1955 in San Francisco, California. He was a multi-billionaire entrepreneur known for being co-founder and CEO of Apple, as well as creator of Pixar. Steve Jobs has 346 patents on his record in the United States Registry. However, his official biographer, Walter Isaacson, claimed that Jobs was dedicated to perfecting technologies that has already been invented. Since his death, 141 more patents have been granted in his name. He is credited with creating the first computer, the original Macintosh, in 1984. Now it's your turn to tell us who is your favorite inventor. I hope that you enjoyed this video and find me every day on the reels.